How are you? I hope you're good, because we're going to be getting into some complexity. We are going to do some complex things. And this, again, for the millionth time, this is not the glamorous life of quick little demos that you can just have a little couple checkboxes, select them, delete a few. This is not that life. This is the hard life where the boss says we need to have a check all on a page. And then people also get confused whether or not that just checked one page or all of the entries in all the pages. So give them the option to select either. And then every searchable thing, make that work with that too, so that you don't have all records selected, just whatever is searched for. Oh, and by the way, if you switch pages, you want to also preserve the checkboxes unless it's just the page checkboxes. And by the way, if everything's selected, you want to be able to deselect a few, whatever. Okay, I could go on and on. But yeah, we're going to have to deal with complexity. We're going to be doing some complex things. So we have this checkbox here, and this is kind of really the beating heart of this feature. When I hit this, I expect all these to be filled in. So why don't we start there? Let's just take it one step at a time. We're going to start there. We're going to zoom in, and let's go to our view and find that checkbox. So we're looking for that first checkbox wherever it is to be found. Here it is. Here's that checkbox right here. Okay. We have wire model selected. Oh my gosh, I'm just a dummy. I'm looking at this checkbox. I'm so sorry. We're looking for this one. I hope you can hear my wink when I do that. It's probably actually really annoyingly loud for you. What we want to do is hook into the state of this checkbox. So you might think maybe you're listening for wire click or wire change or something, but I actually create a piece of data for something like this. So let's call this select page. Select page. Okay. This is going to be called select page. So let's go ahead and create a piece of data for it. So inside of dashboard, we're going to have selected, and we'll have select page, which defaults to false. And of course we have to put select page above selected so that it all trails nicely in descending order. Okay, select page. And now when we toggle this data, I shouldn't have closed that, whatever. Oh boy. When we toggle this data is going to change from true to false. And so to do anything we need to do, we can hook into that with an updated hook. So right here, let's do this. Updated select page. And we can get the value right in there. And then we can say if value, meaning if it's true, then we can check everything. We can do this arrow selected equals, and then we'll get to that in a second. We'll pass in all of the IDs on the page. And then otherwise we would want to say this arrow selected is equal to an empty array to clear out the selected, because that's what you expect. You expect that when you click on this, it's going to fill everything in, and when you click away, it's going to remove everything. So if value, so if it's true, we want selected to equal an array of all the IDs on the page. So to do that, we want to get this right here, but we want to get it before we've even evaluated it. So here we go. This is where it's time to extract this into a separate method. So let's create a new method, and this is going to be called, right now, it's going to be called transactions query. But let's make it a computed property. We'll say get transactions query property, and this is going to make it a computed property. So anywhere we can access it like this, transactions property. Transactions query. Or maybe we're just doing, I'm sorry, we don't want this to be called query. We may want to change that in a bit, but this is just going to be called transactions, okay? And so this whole chunk right here, we're going to move up to this, and we'll return and bump all this down. Okay, so this is transactions, and then here we'll say this arrow transactions. Okay, and so the benefit of computed properties, because this could just be a method and then you could call it here, but the thing is, every time you'd call it, it would fire a new database query. Where computed properties, they're smart. You can access them as many times as you want in one life cycle, one request, and it'll cache it. so that you don't make a bunch of queries in the same request. So I think this is good. What we're going to do is if you say select all, where is that? Updated select page, then selected is equal to this arrow transactions pluck ID. Okay. And we might need to even adjust this even further. Let's see what happens here. If we check this, okay, they are all checked. If we check one off, that works. Okay, we're getting some weird behavior here. Now, this was kind of a hard one for me to pin down when I was, building this course. So maybe I'll just show you what I did to kind of debug it. I'm clicking and I'm going, okay, what's the deal? You can always open up your XHR tab, your XHR requests, and you can look at inside headers and then request. You can see the data that's sent to the server. And you can see right here that it's updating the selected value to be all of these numbers right here. And then you can look at the data that comes back. And okay, so no data came back actually. But basically, here's what I found. It took me a minute. But here it is. Let me see if this will reveal it to you. Okay. Yeah, this isn't going to reveal it to you. I think that's just a Chrome thing. But whatever. The problem is that we're normally storing these IDs as strings, and when we pluck, we're setting them as integers. So it's really dumb, and I'm so sorry that it has to be this way. But what we want to do is do this. Let's make a function, and we're going to accept the ID, and we want to turn it into, is this a PHP thing? No. I wonder if this will work. Probably is not going to work, but we want to turn these into strings. I don't know, maybe that will work. Yeah, okay. So I'm just looping through each numeric ID and turning it into a string. And I am so sorry about this, but this is just the way it is. So now if we click this and we uncheck, we're getting normal unchecked behavior and normal checked behavior. Okay, and then if we click unchecked, it removes them all. So we can hit checked and it checks them all, and we can uncheck and it unchecks them all, which is really nice. And if we check them all and then we go to like the second page, they're all unchecked. And then if we go back, they are all checked. Okay, great. So what do we need to do? Do we need to clean this up at all? I don't think we necessarily do right now. I think this is okay. I suppose you could do one of these doohickeys. If value, would turn this into a ternary. Otherwise do this. And that just saves on a few lines and is actually probably a better case for a ternary. I think that looks pretty good. So selected equals if value is true, then, set it to the plucked value. All right, so that's select page, and that's actually good. Like, this is fine. If we delete all of these, there we go. You see that we just deleted them and they went away. Let's MFS to remigrate and reseed the database. Whoa, I have 250 records in there actually. Okay, great. So that's not too bad. What to do? The next thing we need to do is the check all, the select all. And this is where things are going to get a little bit crazy. So what we want to do is when we select this, we're selecting this page, but like I alluded to before, this can be confusing for users because I've been here when you're like, wait, did I just select these or did I select every single one in the entire thing? And it, and sometimes people don't offer that functionality and you're like, wait, I have to literally delete and then go to the next page and then select and then delete. That's so annoying. So what we want to do is show the user a message that says currently selected, 10 items or whatever. Do you want to select all, 250 items? So let's do that. We're going to make it a row in this table that's kind of a dummy row. So let's do this. When select page, when does this happen? When does this happen? So let's build out that row first, and then we'll deal with the logic in a second. So let's grab the table. Here's the table, and here's the first row. We're going to create a row above the for statement, and this is going to be wrapped in an if. And yeah, okay. Oh, should have used Vim bindings there. Okay, so table row, and then we're going to need some call span. We don't need a wire key. We have the wire keys over here. If we wanted, we could call this like wire key equals row message. Maybe that would do it. We don't need the loading indicator, I don't think here, but we are going to want to give it a background of cool gray, and let's try 200, maybe 300 is the way to go. All right, and then inside of here, we'll say you selected 10 strong, 10 transactions. Do you want to select all 500 transactions? And then we can have a link that's like, well, this would be like a button. Select all. So let's take a look at this. You selected 10 transactions. Okay, we have some issues here. This is showing up. Oh, we need to put this in a cell. xtable.cell. If you've never experienced the wrath of tables in HTML, they behave very oddly when you misbehave, I guess. All right, so this is one cell, but we want this to span the entire width of the cells. So this is going to be col span. What is this? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it 6 now? And there we go. Okay, so that's 6. That's a little bit too dark. Let's bump that down to 2. And then, yeah, okay, you selected 10 transactions. You selected 10 transactions. Do you want to select all 500? And we don't need to repeat the word transactions. That's a bit redundant. And then we have our button right here. Let's make this an X button. X button. Oops, we want this to be xbutton.link. And that's good. We also want to give it a little bit of space. So let's say margin left 2. Okay. And can we make it colorful? Text blue 600. Yeah, okay, that's better. And there's a little bit too much space there. That's going to be ML1. Okay, you selected 10 transactions. Do you want to select all 500? And then they hit select all. And then we're going to select everything and then change this message. So we're going to add a wire click here, wire click. This is going to be select all. Okay, and let's figure select all out. So I'll add a method called select all. And now inside of select all, I think we're just going to set a piece of data right now. What do we want to do? This select all is equal to true. Okay. And then we'll add a piece of data called select all. Okay. And look at that. Oh, it's so perfect. So pleasing. All right. We have select all, and we want to have some sort of conditional. Maybe we'll put this inside of a conditional. We'll say if select all and if. So let's see what happens. Oh, wait. Why is that gone? If unless, we want it to be unless. Okay, select all, and then we click it and then it disappears. And then we want that message to change to, yeah, maybe what we need to do. Maybe we need to do this. If select all, we'll do this. Unless select all, and we'll do an else. And then an end if. Okay. So when it's not select all, we tell them this message here. When they do select all, we say you have selected all, and then we'll put that big count, 500 transactions. Okay, so let's try this. You have selected 10 transactions. Do you want to select all 500? Select all. You are currently selecting, I don't know. English is hard. You're currently selecting all 500 transactions. Okay. You're currently selecting all 500 transactions. Perfect. So we actually need to drive out this count, which is very simple. It's transactions total. That's a pagination thing, just Laravel pagination. Cannot access property total on the paginator. Probably a method. Okay. Yep. Do you want to select all 250? Yes. And then this here, this page, I think this would be count, transactions, count. I think. Let's try that. Yeah, you have selected 10 transactions. You want to select all 250. So in this entire table row, we want to be wrapped in an if statement as well. We want to say if, let's say select page, then do that business, end if. Okay, so nothing, then we hit select all. Okay, we do it again and then nothing. This is great. Do you want to select all? Select all. Perfect. So functionally, we have what we want. Maybe one thing we don't have is when you select all, you go to a new page and you expect them all to be selected. So we need to update that. We need to update that logic. So this is where we're going to have to just do logical gymnastics on the back end. The front end is basically set in stone, I believe. We're just going to have to do, because we're dealing with two crisscrossing Booleans, the select page and select all, they're kind of used in conjunction. Maybe there's a smarter way to do this, but we're just going to have to, muscle through. So what we want to do, what do we want to do? We want to hook into render, and we can change, the locations of these a little bit later. But basically, before rendering, is it before rendering that we'd want to do? Yeah, before rendering, we would want to say like, if this select all, then set selected to this transactions, and then get those IDs again. So this right here. Again, we're going to need to clean all this up later, but we're just getting the job done right now. So if selected, then this transactions pluck ID. Okay, so to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about, why I'm doing this because when we have an entire page selected and then you change pages or do anything, you want to make sure that whatever page you're on, everything is selected. Whenever select all is selected, everything needs to be selected. But the alternative to this is filling this selected property with every single ID in the database, which is a no-go. That's why we have to do this. So if we switch pages now, it is not working. Oh, because we didn't select all. So let's select all. And then we switch pages and it is totally working. That's great. And then what happens if we deselect? Okay, so here's an interesting thing. We can't deselect right now at all. So I think what we need to do is anytime we update something, so wherever we update selected, I think we need to add a new hook. Updated selected. So anytime we're updating anything, we want to set check or select all to false. Okay, so let's say we select all. Okay, and then we uncheck one. Okay, you've selected, what just happened here? You have selected 10. We might have just witnessed a DOM diffing error where this diffed back down to, no, wait a second, hold on. Select all. You have currently selected all 250. And if we unselect this, yeah, I think we might have just encountered a DOM diffing error. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this is an instance where first we had select all and then we removed, I don't really know, but I think our solution to this is actually, yeah, let's wrap this in a span, or maybe we wrap both of these in divs. I'm not sure. Let's start by wrapping this in a span. Yeah, I think this is the problem. Sometimes when morphdom is diffing, like, because there is no element before. We didn't have an element, but we were removing and adding it. So things act a little bit weird. So let's try this. Select all, and then deselect one. Oh, and we're still getting this error. You have selected 10 to 50, and then that button. So, all right, let's try it. Let's try this. Let's wrap this in a div, and let's keep this as a span. Select all, okay, and then deselect one. Okay, so that did what we thought it would do. It puts us back. Okay, I see what happened there. Because it thought to just remove the button, it thought to re-add this button and then morph this element into this element because it doesn't know these two are different. So that's annoying, sorry, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. All right, so select all, and then if we unselect one, now we're back to just selecting what's on the page. But if you look, you have selected 10 transactions. We haven't actually. So maybe what we want to do is deselect page as well. So anytime select is updated, we want to unselect page and all, I believe. Yeah. So if we select all and we deselect one, there we go. We're back to where we were. If we just select the page and then we deselect one, okay, that works as well. So that's good. All right, so I think we have our checkbox behavior set up. I think this is good for the behavior of the checkbox. The question now is, how do we tie this all into our queries? Because if you think about it, everything's easy for this. You know, these bulk actions that we did, easy peasy for just the few. And even this, it's simple. But when we hit select all, that's when life gets a little bit harder. And we want everything encapsulated in this query to be run for export and delete. So it may not actually be that bad. I may be overstating it. So what we need to do is inside of delete or export selected and delete selected, where we're just doing this crude get key, we need to do something like if, basically we want to do this select all. So if select all is a thing right now, then just get transaction query. Otherwise, get transaction where key. You know what? This isn't even going to work either. I'll show you why in a second. So what I'm doing right now, I'll show you this, is saying if we selected all, then just get all the transactions. Otherwise, get the ones with the key. And this is good for, you know, most cases. Let's just select all. Okay, 250, and then we delete. Okay, so we deleted all the transactions, which is good. Oh, and now why do we have this again? Is this a thing? I don't know, but we have to fix it. We have to fix it. No transactions. Why is this call spans? Oh, because we added a checkbox now. Okay, and now we don't have any transactions, so we need to reseed our database. We're back to 250. Now check this out. If we search Claude, we select these 4 transactions, and now we delete them. If we refresh, it actually worked. Why did that work? Oh, because I didn't hit select all. I'm a dummy. Let's try this. We have 3 of these here, okay? We're gonna do select all 3. And now we hit delete, refresh, and now there's no transactions at all. That's a pretty bad bug. So what we need to do is actually get all of the transactions with the filters and then delete them. But here's the thing. When we have this get transaction property, we're paginating, which means we're actually executing a query. What we want to do is actually just get the query. So I'm going to do get transactions query property, and I'm also going to have a get transactions property. And this may seem completely ridiculous to you, but it is actually better. What am I doing? Get transactions query arrow paginate 10. Okay. So if you're not familiar with the difference between query builders and not in Eloquent, here's the 2-second version. If you have a model like transaction and you are query building, you're saying where something, you're in the query builder mode. You're adding on to a SQL query that has yet to execute. And you can keep chaining on wheres and things like that, right? Well, then when you do get, then you've actually executed the query, and now you have an Eloquent collection that's post-query. And now, so paginate does the same thing, and so does all. All executes the query. So it's actually important because some things need to be executed on the query, like delete. That's a query builder thing. So you want to make sure you have an instance of the query builder, not an Eloquent collection or a paginated group, okay? So that's just kind of an annoying distinction, but we'll have transactions query, and then we'll have transactions property, 2 separate things. And the reason we're doing this is so that when we go to delete everything, when we go to delete selected, instead of doing transactions query, which is all of them, we're going to say this transactions query. Shouldn't have done that. Transactions query. Okay. And then we can actually use the same thing here if we want, just to make more things the same. And then because of this, you can kind of see, I imagine, we could probably make this a one-liner by doing transactions query. And then let's say when this arrow, when select all. Yeah, what do we want? Delete selected. So we want to say when, or unless is the opposite of when. So unless select all, then specify fn, which is going to get us the query. Okay. And then query arrow where key. And then now we can call delete. That's pretty nice. right? That's not bad. Get the transactions query that already has all the filters applied. And then unless select all is selected, do a where key on the selected things and then delete those. So let's do a little test here. Okay. So let's search for Bo. Okay. So we have these items right here. If we select and then select all, we selected these 8 transactions. If we delete, okay, it says 0 because we have Bo filtered. If we remove that filter, you're currently selecting all 242 transactions. That's just minus the 8. So I think we've done pretty well for ourselves. I think this is pretty expressive. We just need to update our export selected, which we basically kind of want to do the same thing here. Echo, yeah, and maybe we would want to export or put this into a separate method, like transactions. I don't know, whatever. But I'm fine with the duplication right now. I think this is good. This is going to be our equivalent thing. So that's it. That's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. That's select all and select page functionality. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything more to say about that. It works with pagination. It works with our advanced searching, and we have our 2 bulk actions for deleting and exporting. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't confirm delete. What time are we at? Oh, we're pretty late into it, but we got to do it. We have to do it. So there's a couple different ways that we could do this. There's the easy way and there's the hard way. Let's do the easy way first. So you can always do this. Where's our delete? Delete right here, okay? You can do this. On any wire click, on click is a native browser thing. You can do this. You can do confirm. Are you sure you want to delete? And then if they do confirm, so if that's true, then you can grab the event and you can stop immediate propagation, which is going to prevent it from hitting this delete selected. So check this out. If I select this and now I hit delete, are you sure? And I hit cancel, everything blows up for some reason. And I'm not sure why that just happened. Maybe I did something wrong. Delete and cancel. What in the world? What would that do? What did we just fire? Updates call method, delete selected. Okay. So we have a couple problems here. We have one problem that if we have nothing and we do delete selected, weird things happen. But I think we can do better than this. Why didn't this work? I'm not sure. Are you sure? Oh, we need to do the opposite of that, right? If you say cancel, then we want to stop immediate propagation. So let's try this. We select payment to Garnett, okay? Now we hit delete. Are you sure? Cancel. It doesn't work. Perfect. That's what we want. Now we hit delete and we hit OK. Oh man, why does it do that? All right, well here we're going to debug. Get ready, folks. Here's a problem we're encountering. We're going to click payment to Aaron, whatever. Hit delete. Are you sure? We're going to say yes. It removes everything. Let's take a look at the payload. So the payload is delete selected. We don't have any parameters. We don't need any parameters. And so I'm surprised because I would think, let's see what selected is. Facts dirty, right. Okay, we haven't changed selected, but here we had data selected is the number 4, and then we did delete selected, and I'm not sure what the problem is. But all right, people always tell me that they benefit from seeing me flounder around on a problem. So here we go. Delete selected. We ran it, and unless select all, which is going to hit this, then query where key is selected. And for some reason, this is not giving us the proper thing back, or maybe it's working. Okay, let's see if the delete works. So payment to Miss Itzel, okay? Now I'm going to select this, hit delete selected, now refresh, and now payment. Okay, so that one is deleted. It did delete, but I think I know our problem. Okay, are you ready for the problem? This is the problem, folks. We are taking a query builder instance, and we're adding a constraint to it to delete. But because in PHP objects are mutable, so okay, this is a PHP thing here, PHP problem. Because objects are mutable, this query builder is mutable, we added this where statement. We did delete them, But later on, when we passed it in, it had that where statement applied. So get ready for how ridiculous this is, but here's the fix. Clone. This is a PHP thing. You can clone an object like this. Ooh, I am sorry you had to see that. Okay, ready? Select, delete. Okay, and it works. Phew, I got concerned there for a second. All right, so this is the crude way of doing it. There's, of course, better ways. We can actually do a confirmation modal if you want, and I imagine you do want. So let's just rush through it because we're pretty low on time, I think. Not that there's any time limit. So we now want delete, instead of delete selected, to be show, let's do this, set show delete modal. Okay. And then let's create a property for delete modal inside here. And this is going to be delete modal. Okay. And this needs to be on top because we, of course, need it to cascade nicely. And now, so show delete modal, let's actually create a delete confirmation modal, and we'll add it next to our other modal. So here's this modal, and let's do this. Let's just kind of copy what we have here and paste it in. That's not good. Whatever. Copy it, paste it. And now instead of, I don't know what we're going to do here, delete selected. Okay, instead of a dialog, this is going to be a confirmation. Instead of edit transaction, this is going to be delete transaction, or maybe it's going to be called are you sure or something. And then the wire model is going to be show delete modal. And then inside of here, we don't really need any input groups. We can just say, are you sure? Are you sure you want to delete these transactions? This action is how do you spell irreversible? Okay. And then we have a cancel button, which is going to cancel show delete modal, and then a confirmation button, which is going to submit, where we say delete, and primary should be danger, but I don't even think I have that. Let's check. We have button link primary. Yeah, we don't, unfortunately, but you should add a new thing called button danger. So let's try this. Now, if we select something and we hit delete, nothing happens, of course. Why did nothing happen? If we hit delete, we do send that to, oh, you know what we didn't do? Set show delete modal. This is where we want to toggle the delete modal. So let's do this, toggle delete modal. Okay. So here we go. We say delete. Are you sure you want to delete this transaction? It's pretty ugly, but whatever. We do delete, okay? And if we cancel, nothing happens. And if we confirm, then it works. But this modal doesn't go away. So inside of delete selected, we now need to add this arrow show delete modal equals false. Okay, and then this is our perfect thing. Let's take these 10, delete. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And then we delete them, and then we went ahead and deleted them. Okay, folks, that is bulk actions in its deepest form with select page and select all and all sorts of weird things and query things. And you learned a lot, hopefully, and you also watched me struggle. And I hope that's beneficial to you. So thanks for watching. And I guess, yeah, we can still go deeper, but this is functionally complete. So let me give you the quick overview. Here's where we landed with HTML. It's not short. And then here's where we landed with the class in PHP. It's a lot of freaking functionality. So I think in the next lesson, we're going to start to extract some of these things to be reusable so that you can have traits like with checkboxes, with sorting, with pagination, which we already have, and clean this up so that it's just kind of the core functionality like edit, save, create, and stuff like that. So we'll see where we get. And also that's going to be a free form episode. I haven't really done a ton of that premeditated. So I think it's just going to be more of a pairing session than a planned out tutorial. And not that you think any of these are planned out. You probably think that I'm just always shooting from the hip because of how free form they are. But I do assure you, I do practice and whatever. Anyway, here I am going on about myself. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Okay.